and welcome to episode 16 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. Today is June 1st, 2018, and I'm Lisbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is all about crafting, let's say it that way, because usually I say it's all about knitting, and then I start talking like this week there's been more sewing actually than knitting, or maybe I've only been spinning or whatever. So let's just say crafting. But I do really like my knitting. So this week I would like to start with what I'm wearing, and then there'll be some jibber jabber about all kinds of stuff and some knitting related stuff as well. So this is an Agnes top. This is the first one I've ever made. I think I've shared that a few episodes back as well, but it's still a sewing pattern or a shirt made from a sewing pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and I adore this shirt, or actually mostly these type of shirts, because I've made 6 of these shirts so far in all different prints, of course. Yeah, so what more can I say about it? Not much, I guess. So yeah, it has been very warm, so no knitwear this week. It's been like 30 degrees outside, so I think in the 80s of Fahrenheit, I don't know, pretty hot. And we've had quite a bit of thunder this week again. It seems like the weather has been crazy for quite some time already. But I do enjoy watching a good bit of thunder, so that's really nice to watch, provided you're in a safe place, of course. And there has been a lot of rain in the Netherlands, but it seems like my part has not been too bad. I mean, a lot of areas there have been streets that have been flooded and everything, and no such thing here. So I may be complaining because I've been soaking wet 3 times in the same day, but soaking wet, but everything else is still functioning, so kind of okay. Anyway, so let's get into what I've been doing this week, which is probably what you guys are here for. If you wanted to see the weather forecast, you probably would have watched that. So last week I was talking about maybe opening an Etsy store to sell these kinds of bags. They are now finished, so I have 4 that are pretty much the same, like 1, 2, and number 3, and number 4. So these are Japanese knot bags. I actually made 5 of these, but I gave 1 away. So there's 4 now. And I made this one. And I think this one is a bit unfortunate because I didn't really remember how much the seam allowance was on, especially the handle part of this thing. So I think these turned out a bit too slim for my liking. I like this a bit better. You can definitely see if I hold them together, like this one is about 1 centimeter wider than the other, than the lighter one, and I do prefer this with, I think this just leaves the bag a little bit too open, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'll put it on store as well, but it will probably be at a discount because I don't think it's perfect, and I think if you want to sell something, then you should be really convinced that it's good. And I do notice there's a fly flying around in my home right now. I really tried to get it out of my window earlier, but unfortunately it didn't work apparently. So last week these were almost finished, so I had to do some more top stitching around the handles, and the lining is now closed from the inside, so there's a bit that I hand stitched, and I've been looking into putting these up on Etsy, and I've been reading a lot into it, and I still think that I might open an Etsy store, but it will probably take a little bit longer. I'm sorry if you can hear my pets that are digging around in their cages now. They have a lot of layers of cardboard pieces that they can dig around in, and There's also construction where I can't even tell you about one type of destruction that I have here because there's another type of destruction going on. Oh my god, it's going to be one of these days, I guess. But we were scheduled for having our windows in the bedroom replaced this week, and the entire apartment building where I live, they are changing those windows. And we were scheduled for Monday, but someone who was supposed to be home and have their windows changed yesterday wasn't home, so our windows got changed yesterday. And I believe that maybe they are now changing the windows upstairs, which goes along with a lot of hammering and things. They are not breaking the windows or anything, but there's a wooden piece framework around the window. And well, first of all, the old window has to go out, and then we got a slightly smaller window in replacement, so that the window is now actually in two pieces. So we have a smaller piece that we can't open and a larger piece that we can open. Previously we had this one huge window that we could open, like both, like open it, well, for you guys it will be clear, like slightly to this way so that there's a slight opening, or you could just like turn open the window entirely and it would still be connected on one side. I don't know how you would call these kinds of window in English, but you know, you probably know what type of window I'm talking about right now. But they came up with an entire list of why it would be easier for us to have a smaller window that we can't open and a well, it's like, and a bigger window that we can open. So they wanted to replace it, and I've never had any problems with our windows. They were just fine, but apparently they wanted to change it, so we had them changed. But this meant that our curtain connection, like the place where we have our curtains up on the wall, was removed yesterday as well. So we didn't get around to fixing that again yesterday because, you know, on Thursday evenings I go to a local knit group here. So I didn't have time to work on those kinds of things. And my boyfriend is still recovering from his lung surgery, so he can't lift too heavy things. So I definitely at least wanted to be there if we were trying to fix this together. So tonight we slept without curtains, and it's not so much a privacy issue because we live on a first floor and there's no one that can really see into our window, like approximately like 5 meters from our windows, or maybe 10. There's trees outside, so there's not really anyone who can look into our bedroom and that much, so that's not really an issue. But it gets light really early in the mornings, so I think it's probably before 6 o'clock in the morning, and we are approaching midsummer, so, or what is it called, summer solstice. So the days are quite long here, and you wake up quite early, and it just feels crazy. Like the bed has shifted like this much from the window to closer to the wall inside our room to give more space for the workers to replace our windows. And I just felt disoriented in my bed. It felt like I was almost falling off the edge of the bed, or like too close to the shelves on the other end. And I just had a bad night of sleep. So I didn't know I was so attached to my specific location within the bedroom, but apparently I am. So I so I think that's enough rambly bits. So yeah, so I made quite a few of these project bags, and yeah, I'm quite happy with them now. So these will probably go up in an Etsy store at some point, but I noticed that there were some changes going on Etsy. So Etsy is trying to provide an extra or additional service of doing your taxes for you, but I'm not quite convinced how that would work. So they are in the process of implementing this at this point, and then by the 1st of July it should be implemented for everybody. And I'm just not sure if if I want Etsy to automatically do my taxes. I mean, to some extent, it sounds really nice. I mean, it takes away a bit of bookkeeping for myself, but I also like to be in charge. So I'm not really sure. I need to study it in some more detail to figure out what's going to happen with that. So I have some more project bags. And then this week, there's been another bit of craziness. My sister went to stay over with us for a few days because she had a job in Eindhoven. So she works at her hometown, or one town over from there. And this is not one town over, it's almost the other side of the country. But she had a job from there in Eindhoven, and she asked if she could stay over for the night, or for 2 nights actually. So she did, which means that my house is a little bit of chaos at the time, because we do have some extra mattresses so that she can sleep on it, but we just have to put them down in the living room, because especially now that I've raised a bed for my boyfriend, it doesn't really fit on our bedroom, and that makes it a little bit hard to move around in our living space. I mean, we don't have a small living room, I think, but with suddenly a 2-person size mattress on the floor in the empty space where we would like to walk around, it takes up a lot of space. But we went fabric shopping together, and mostly for her, by the way, because she also likes to sew. I think that's something that really runs in my family. And she was looking for some more fabrics to make some bags as well. She makes very large bags, so she had one that she made earlier, like the last time when she stayed over at my place was when my boyfriend got ill, and at that point we were actually in the fabric store, and we had just both had our pieces of fabric cut into the sizes that we wanted when we got a phone call that we should go to the hospital as soon as possible. So yeah, so that's when she bought the fabric, and she made a bag of it, and that's the bag that she used to carry everything for a 2-day stay at my place, and a laptop and some supplies for work, and she had to dress up in a specific set of clothes for work, so she had quite a lot of stuff with her, and the bag held up, and she wanted to make more bags, so she's going to do that. But I also wanted to look for some more fabric, because I found this one. I hope it's right side up on this side. I'm looking to it upside down on my side of this piece of fabric. I have not washed or ironed this yet. I don't think it would make sense to iron it before I wash it, but anyway, I thought this was a really fun print. So these are the wooden shoes, and a bunch of tulips all around, and some farmer people, and I really think this is cute. I don't think it's so much my style, but I do have an aunt who is completely and utterly in love with tulips, and she likes the color of red. So I've been looking at several market stands and fabric stores for the perfect fabric with tulips, and she's actually a tulip farmer, so she grows tulips professionally. So if you buy tulips in in the United States or in Canada or wherever you might be, and they are from Holland, there's a chance that they are grown by my uncle and aunt who run a business in growing tulips. But because she loves the tulips so much, and she also does some crochet and knitting, and I promised to teach her how to knit last year, but she lives unfortunately quite far away from me, so I didn't get to go there and have an entire day to spend there and teach her a little bit of knitting continental style, because she's really interested in that. I decided that I wanted to make her a project bag for her birthday, which is coming up this month. So at least I would have some physical gift to give her that would maybe be something slightly easier. And I still want to teach her how to knit, of course, but time really flies. So I bought this lovely fabric, and I really like it. And there will I mean, this is a large piece, so there will probably be some left over, and I will probably make some more bags than just the one for my aunt. But this is the reason that I'm sharing this one. So, and then we can continue into the dyeing. So I've been dyeing yarn quite a bit lately, and not by any standards to commercial level, but last week I've shown you this one, I think, or maybe it was the week before. I think it was last week. And I told you guys that I wasn't really happy with this one, as in I'm really happy with how it turned out because I really think it's pretty, but I was intending it to be a rainbow, and it's, well, just definitely not a rainbow. So I tried again, and I got this, and I'm reasonably happy with this one. I mean, it's still not quite what I wanted, because I can untangle this a bit. I think I would have liked the red and the orange to be brighter, like especially in the part where they're mixing. There's this almost yellowy empty spot here, and there is some yellow and green in here, but I would have liked these sections to be bigger. And then there's this huge blue section that is really well, slightly bigger than I would have liked. So I think probably it should have been green for about this much, but it's not. And there is a bit of purple going on here, but it's not quite as intense. Like, then I would prefer it to look a little bit more like this purple, and it doesn't. So maybe it's just optimistic to try and dye this from 3 colors, like expect it to mix enough from just dipping it in 3 colors. So maybe I should dip it in all 6 colors so that I can have more control over each color. Maybe that's an idea for my next go at this. But yeah, it's definitely closer to what I was aiming for than the previous skein. So all in all, I'm quite happy with it. But I'm still a ways off from what I was hoping it was going to be like. So that's been my hand dyeing. This week there's not been much hand dyeing. With my sister over, it's been just a bit crazy. So yeah, no more hand dyeing. And then there's been a tiny bit of progress on my blanket. I'm not going to show you the entire blanket or the entire half blanket that I have now, but I finished this tiny square. This will be a part of the border, and I feel like I've started to knit quite a bit looser than I did previous. I probably should show it with the smaller one in front so that you can see that the other one is bigger. So yeah, it seems like I started to knit slightly looser than I did when I knit this one, because this one was finished quite around the same time when I finished the rest of the border squares, and now this one is a bit looser than the rest. So I don't know, maybe I'm just that more relaxed or something. I don't know. Probably the difference will change a little bit or go out of this square by the time I block it. At least I hope it does. And then I can attach these squares to the rest of my blanket. But for now I won't do that. I will just keep them separate until I have at least five of these squares, so then I could knit another quarter of my blanket. But as hot as it has been, I think it would be very nice to just continue working on these tiny squares before I have to drag around the entire blanket and therefore automatically leave it on my lap if I'm knitting on it. So yeah, that's the plan for that. And then there has been really only one more project, and I was really hoping to have it finished before now, but I haven't. And it's my Valdresnisstrømpe, or whatever however you pronounce Norwegian socks. So this is the second sock. So last week I've shown you guys, and I was still here, I think. So I put in the progress keeper. I was just past the hill, and I had been there for quite some time. So this is where the majority of my time has gone, I think. Yeah, it must have been, because on the blanket square I've only knit on that for one evening at the knit group, and then afterwards I was still knitting on this guy. And well, I can hold the first one up here, so you can see it's quite close to being finished, and it's most visible from the back actually, because here you can see I've done some increases. So here you see that there's more rows of this zigzag going on top until a certain point where it stays at the same width. Well, I reached that point here, like here's the last zigzag starting from the second sock. So I'm at maximum width now, and on the front side it's easier to show on the front side, but there's less than a full pattern repeat left for me to do here before I start doing the ribbing. So I don't think that I won't have it finished by next week. Actually, probably this weekend it will be finished. I'm quite sure of that. But there has been some problems with this sock, and the most annoying bit is that my skein, and I'm usually too lazy to wind it up. Yeah, it looks like this now. And for everybody who thinks it's crazy that I don't hand wind my yarn into a ball or anything before I start knitting with it, yes, you're absolutely right. It's a good thing to do. It saves you a lot of frustration when you're knitting from a skein like this, and then you get this huge. I mean, this is not even the end of it. I mean, you can't even see anything of this huge knot that I'm fighting with. But yeah, I'm still too lazy to reskein all of the skeins of yarn that I buy before I start knitting with it, because I want to knit. I don't want to rewind yarn. So that's probably not a smart idea, but I'm not always smart. So I'm really happy with this project. I completely realize now that I'm completely forgetting to tell you guys about what yarn I'm using for basically all of my projects. But this is opal, some very plain opal sock yarn, and the white one, and the gray one is Vildar Filfolk 50, I think. So those are just pretty standard commercial sock yarns. I'm not sure how readily they are available overseas, but in Europe I think both are quite accessible. Yeah, and that's pretty much it I have to say about these socks. All the other projects, knitting and hand dyeing projects, are in Dropsfable or Dropsfable. I don't know how you would pronounce it. So these are Dropsfable. They're all sock yarns. I like to knit with sock yarn apparently a lot. So I think that's it. No, that's not it for today. So last week I was also talking a little bit about maybe choosing another direction for my life, and about maybe quitting my studies. Well, I tried to apply for a job, and I have a job interview next Monday, so it will be my first serious job interview, and I'm really excited about it, and also at the same time, of course, to some extent really scared about how it will go, but I don't know. I can't worry too much about it. I mean, if this is not going to be my job, then it's probably not not then it's not going to be my job. Then there will probably be something else. So I'm really a bit dazed by how fast all these things are going, and I must say that this has also been taking up quite some energy because there's quite a bit of new stuff to discover for me. Like I finally opened the door that says like you can walk away from the path that has been, well, I would almost say has been set in stone for you, but then I decided no, it's not set in stone. I can just step on another path and try this, and now I am kind of overwhelmed by how many options there are, and yeah, but it's really exciting as well. So it's a lot to process, but it's been a lot of fun too. So I think that's really it. So I would like to thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sticking around until the very end. That also means a lot, of course. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you did, if you didn't, you can do. You don't have to, of course. But yeah, thank you. I hope you will have a lovely week and that there will be lots of knitting or spinning or crochet or whatever craft you like, and that I will see you again next week. So